Welcome to my throne of history. Actually, it's a chair in my living room with a black sheet thrown over it. But in history, you need to learn to use your imagination. So you better start using yours. From this throne, imagination, come on. From this throne, I'm going to take you on a journey of 10,000 years in 23 weeks. Crash helmet and full harness 5-point seatbelt probably required. We're going to go from 8000 BC until yesterday. Back in the time of COVID, there's a bit more history for you. Back in the time of COVID, I made a video for each of those 23 periods for children who were out of school because of lockdown. We're going to start by looking at the video I made for this period, and then you come back here to my throne. You've got it, haven't you? Yep. Come back here to my throne and I'll give you some more information and some ideas of how you could have a go at living in that period. Let's go to the period we've called Nearly All Romans and watch the video I made from that time.
To remember.
You know what we've got to remember this time, and what is it? That's right, it's only 200 years, this period in history. It's called Nearly the Romans, Nearly All the Romans, because it runs from 1 AD until 200 AD. And it starts off with us telling you a little bit about tribal battles still in Iron Age England. And then in 43 AD, the Romans arrive. And this time they don't just stay for a couple of months, they invade properly. And within 40 years, virtually everybody in England is living the Roman way. And on our website, we tell you about the invasion, but we also tell you a little bit more about the Romans, so you can learn how Rome developed on 7 hills, or possibly 8 hills, nobody is quite sure. But that's we tell you. And then we also then tell you a little bit more about the Roman army and the forts that they built. We tell you about the most famous rebellion against the Romans, which was led by the ginger-haired one, yes, Queen Boadicea, or Boudica. We pronounce it different ways. When I was young it used to be Boadicea, but now I believe it's Boudica. So we tell you about that. We then give you a little quiz on town names. So the Romans named lots of our towns, and we ask you to try and guess what their English name, their Anglo-Saxon name is. So that's something for you to do. But as I said, within 40 years, virtually everybody had, not decided, but everybody was living the Roman way, and they were called Romano-Britons. And we talk about them, we talk about what were the Romans most famous for? Being from Rome? No. Building roads, yes. They did build a lot of roads, and we tell you a bit about that. They built walls, Hadrian's Wall, very famous, so we tell you about that. We also tell you about another wall they built a bit further north, which was called the Antonine Wall, and wasn't quite so famous because it wasn't quite so successful. And finally, I think on the timeline, we tell you a little bit about a town of St Albans that was completely destroyed by fire in 155 AD. And so you can read about that. And what are your hoots? Right, the hoots, well, as we know, they look at homes, and this was quite different because the Romans built cities. And if you lived in the city, you lived in a house not dissimilar to the sort we live in now. They were 2-storey. Sometimes there were shops on the lower floor, and then the people would live above. But the peasants still lived in their own little huts. Well, no, they weren't round actually. They were more rectangular now. So yes, that was how they lived. Clothing changed a little bit, but a big change was for the Romans, because Rome is in the Mediterranean and it's hot. So when they came to England, and especially those soldiers that had to go and guard Hadrian's Wall, they had to learn how to keep themselves warm. No good just wearing their little tunics. So that was something that was quite interesting. The food changed. The Romans ate different things. They brought different foods with them. You can read all about that on your Hoots page. Romans were also very clean, and they built lots of baths. And yes, they had cleanliness on tap. Very good. Yes, fine. No, there's a lot about Roman baths, and we tell you how the practice happened, what you actually did when you went to a Roman bath. And finally, we give you a list of Roman gods. The Romans didn't worship just one god. They had different gods for different things. And in our Hoot section, Albert's laid out some of the more famous gods and what they were worshipped for. We have a story this week about a guy called Caractacus who fought the Romans, lost, ran away to a different tribe. That tribe handed him back to the Romans. He was taken to Rome and they thought he was going to be killed, but the Roman emperor actually saved his life and said he could stay alive as long as he remained living in Rome. And that's our story. So that's nearly all the Romans, and next time it's definitely all the Romans. Another 200 years, nothing but Roman rulers. Okay, so we'll go away now and we'll see you. We're still in lockdown, my hair is still growing longer. By the time we get to the beginning of December, goodness knows how long it will be. I can be Santa Claus, thank you very much. So we'll see you then. Bye.
So, back to the throne, and there you have it. A little bit more information about when the Romans first came and invaded and stayed, starting in 43 AD. Now, as we said in that little clip, you can find out far more by going to the Times Past section of our main website, not the School of the Air one, main website, and looking up nearly all Romans. It will tell you a lot more. So now we're going to have a go at what we could do something from living in those times. And so the question is,
where are we at with our have-a-goes? The answer is we've just reached the Romans. We've got long arms. Yes, okay, fine. We've just reached the Romans, and what we're going to look at this week is something called a mosaic. And we're going to, how do you spell mosaic? Just going to put it on the screen so you can see just above your head. Mosaic, M-O-S-A-I-C. And we're going to, what is a mosaic, right? A mosaic is basically a form of art. It's a picture or a pattern made with little bits of material. So it could be seashells, it could be glass, it could be tiles, it could even just be stones. There's a picture of a mosaic that you've just seen. And it was in about 3000 BC people found mosaics. And then the Greeks and the Romans, this is why we're doing it now, correct. The Greeks and the Romans used to make mosaics, and instead of using abstract patterns like the first mosaics, they actually made pictures. So they made something of their mosaic. And the Romans famously did this, and because we still somehow unearth, is your leg comfortable? Good. We still somehow unearth, dig up Roman villas, or the remains of Roman villas, we can see what their mosaics looked like, because normally they put them on the floor, sometimes they'd hang them on a wall, didn't have such things as wallpaper, didn't have carpets, so it was a way of making where they lived in their great villa more beautiful. And what we thought today is we will give you ideas about how you could make a mosaic. I doubt it. Albert says it could actually then be unearthed in several years. Look, your foot and this drawer are annoying me at the moment. Your foot is very special to you. Okay, I won't be annoyed by it anymore. So, it's how do you make a mosaic? That's a picture of one particular mosaic that was unearthed. Now, they usually use lots of different colours of glass or tile. They would put them on a flat surface and they would seal them in, because obviously if you're going to be walking over it, you want it to be nice and flat and you don't want to keep destroying the tiles. So they put some sort of sealant over it, they put something around it which we would call grout, which could be a mixture of sand and lime, and just to hold the tiles, the glass in peace. Now those tiles and glass are called tesserae. And that will be appearing above Albert's head as well. There you are, it's there. So they use these little bits of tesserae and they made pictures out of them. And what we're going to do after this is show you some ideas of how you could perhaps do that. Now you can go to craft shops, art shops, and you can buy kits that will allow you to do mosaics. And many years ago, my granddaughter, yes, that does look like you. My granddaughter made me this mosaic of an owl. That's why it looks like you. Yes, I think it probably does. Anyway, that's one thing you could do, but we're going to show you a really, really simple method that won't cost you anything at all. Okay? So watch that and then come back to us and we'll say goodbye. So get 4 or 5 sheets of coloured card or coloured paper and put them all together, and then get some scissors, and you may have to ask an adult or parent to help, but what you then do is, holding them all together, you cut a strip so that you will actually have 4 strips of your 4 different colours. There we go, cut that, whee, off. Do that a few more times. When you've done that, get all your strips together and cut them into smaller pieces. These are your tesserae. So you do that and then move all them to one side. Now, I am, as you probably know, a world famous artist. Not. So the best I could do when drawing a picture that I wanted to make a mosaic of was a fish. I'm telling you it's a fish because looking at it, you may not recognize it, but it's a fish. And then what you do within the boundary of your drawing, inside, you put the little bits of tesserae that you've cut out. Now I've speeded this up, otherwise you're going to get very bored and I'm going to have to think of lots and lots of things to say. What I did was I put the green down the edge, pink along the top, the green in the middle and blue at the bottom, and there is my fish. Now there are some big white gaps, and I thought you can then cut some pieces of your tesserae, your little bits of card, and fill in the gaps. Now you're going to have far more time than me and you're probably far more artistic than me, so you're going to do this far, far better, far neater, and it will look absolutely wonderful at the end. But that is my mosaic of a fish. So there you are. You can make a mosaic. Hit draw, move foot. It's getting a bit of a habit today. But you can make a mosaic in some way. And I'm sure that you can draw more complicated things than I can, and possibly find bigger bits of paper to make your mosaic. And if you want, oh yeah, that's true as well. Different if you want. If you want, you can send a picture of your mosaic in to Albert, and at his email, at his email address, which is going to be above his head. Everything goes over your head, doesn't it? Was that an insult? No, I was just saying that everything goes over your head. Right, so that's this week.
Now, I'm 100% certain that you could make a better effort at a mosaic than I did there. My drawing skills are limited. I got the lowest possible grade in my GCSE art. I got a 9. Now, I tell people that these days because they've changed the grading system, and apparently 9 is the highest. So I'm very proud of my 9 in art. I also got a 9, as a matter of interest, in Latin. And that's a bit unfortunate. Well, it's not really, because somebody else has done the translation for me. But the next thing we're going to have a go at is some Roman food. And for that, we have to thank Marcus Gavius Apicius. Now, nobody knows quite who he was. Oh, well, when I say nobody, we don't know. He probably knew who he was. But he lived a long, long time ago, about 2,000 years ago. And they think he was a sort of merchant. But anyway, what interests us is that he wrote several volumes of a cookbook called De Re Concinala. And in these volumes, altogether, there were about 400 recipes. And I thought we'd have a go at cooking one of them. The other 399 we'll just leave for posterity. But yeah, this is a fairly simple one. It's a dessert. And I'll take you to my kitchen, my Roman kitchen. Don't forget to use your imagination. It looks like my normal kitchen, but you know, try. And we're going to make something called Tyro Patina, as described by dear old Mr. Apicius. Thank you, Marcus. Let's go to the kitchen.
Right, so what you'll need is 2 tablespoonfuls of runny honey, 1/4 litre of milk, 3 eggs and some black pepper. And the first thing you do is pour the milk into a bowl. That's so easy. Next, you take the runny honey and you pour that in with the milk, and then you mix it in. This is not quite so easy when you have a camera under your chin. Now, it's going to take quite a while to mix it in because the honey is quite sticky. That's a surprise. And this is quite appropriate, really, considering Molly was telling you a story about the bee with the fur coat in story time. Hope you listened to it. And then tomorrow she's going to be talking more about bees. But I can't tell you what, you'll just have to wait till tomorrow. Unless you're watching this tomorrow, in which case, oh, forget it. Anyway, you'll know when it's all mixed in, because it won't stick on the fork when you take the fork out of the liquid. So here we go, let's have a look now, see how we're doing. Yeah, keep going, come on. That's better, yeah, that's nearly done. Yeah, I reckon that's almost done. So you mix the 1/4 litre of milk with the 2 tablespoonfuls of runny honey, and then when you've done that, there it is, it just runs off the fork now. We've mixed all that in, so we'll move that out of the way, and oh, well done, thank you. And the next thing you do is you break and beat the 3 eggs. Now, those of you who've watched any of my cookery videos will know I'm a brilliant chef, but I can't manage to break an egg with one hand. So I'm afraid the other hand has had to come in and help. So that's 2 eggs done, 1 more coming up now. Here we go. Oh, brilliant. Don't know how you do it, and just for Molly's benefit, there is no shell in there at all. You'll have to search through one of our previous videos and find out when she noticed that. Right, now we mix or beat the eggs. Now don't forget, we're doing this in Roman times, so we have no mixers, nothing like that. We just have an old-fashioned fork and 2 old-fashioned arms, and we put that all together. It's quite difficult doing it at an angle like that, so as you can see, in fact it's so difficult, I'm just going to take this over here to do the last little bit. Right, there we are. So we've now mixed the egg, and the next thing you do, you're never going to guess, well, try, you will. Right, we take the beaten egg and pour it into the milk and honey, and by pure fluke I've managed to pick a bowl that is just big enough to take the liquid, and we stir all that together as the Romans would do. Right, that's all mixed. Then we need a sieve, and we need to sieve the mixture into the bowl that we're going to put in the oven. So we have to have an oven-proof bowl, and that's the one that's underneath. And yet again, with the skill of pure luck, I've picked a bowl that is just big enough to take the mixture. Right, that's that. We then turn on our oven. I'm using the fan oven here, and I'm turning it on to about 140 degrees. Should you wish to do the same with yours, you'll get the same result, I would hope. Right, open the door of the oven, and into the oven goes our mixture. Well done, you did good. And then we wait for 45 minutes, come back, turn the oven off, and take out our Tyro patina. Put it on the surface, have a look at it, there you are. Put it on the surface and let it cool down for a bit before we taste it. Oh, forgot, before we do that, we actually put black pepper on it. The Romans were great users of pepper. I personally don't particularly like it, but I thought I'd better be Roman, so I put the pepper on. Right, come on. There we are, done that. Yeah, that looks lovely. That's enough. There we are. Now we can have a little bite. Oh, mind, it's moving. Be careful. It's falling over. Oh, well done. Right. Now, it's quite difficult getting it out, isn't it? Oh, come on. The Vikings will be here soon. Right, there we are. That's it. Now, you probably think to yourself, he'll be brave if he turns that out. Well, there's nothing if not bravery. So I thought I would actually turn it out onto a plate. Need adult help if you're doing this, because the bowl will be quite hot, which is why I'm wearing the oven glove, and why I also realised that I wasn't able to do it by using the oven glove. I would actually have to use a little knife to put underneath it. Is it all going to fall apart? The answer is nope. I am a Roman chef. Look at that. How brilliant. And I can tell you, well, what can I tell you? I can tell you
I have to say, that was fantastic. Lovely. You may look at it and think, that's a baked egg custard. Fine. I look at it and I think it's a Tyro patina. So, there you are. That's it. First invasion of the Romans, 43 AD, under the Emperor Claudius, came to England, and actually They made Colchester, which isn't far from where I live, the capital for a while. I'll see you next week with the second instalment of the Romans, because they were here for nearly 400 years and many, many things changed in that time. Join me then. Oh, just one more thing.
So, the Romans, they invaded in 43 AD and made Colchester the capital of England.
Yep, they did indeed.
Be good if it was still the capital. We live so close.
Well, it was the most important town. In fact, so important that the emperor at the time, Claudius, after the army had conquered, he rode into Colchester on an elephant.
No way!
Yep.
Was there actually elephants in our country at that time?
No, he brought it over on one of the Roman ships.
On a sailing ship?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And you, and you want me to believe that he packed his clothes in a trunk as well? Anyway, where would they have even parked in Colchester?
Yeah.
Nightmare parking.
It is, isn't it? Especially with an elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.